Hey, for letting my lawyer handle parents who abandoned me, then came back for my money? My name is Natalie and I am 18 years old. But when I was 8, I lived with my parents and my 2 older brothers in a suburb north of Dallas, Texas. My brothers, Jacob and Mason, were 15 and 14 back then. And if I am being honest, they were the center of everything in that house. My parents lived for them. Practices, games, uniforms, tournaments. Everything revolved around travel soccer. There was always a rush, they always had to be taken somewhere, there was always something to pay for. Between club fees, uniforms, cleats, and travel to games, money slipped through their fingers like water. My parents went out of their way to get them the best, to be in the bleachers, to talk to the coach, to take pictures of them, to show them off. And I was just there. It is not like they hit me or anything like that. They fed me, sent me to school, bought me clothes when I outgrew my old ones. They did their duty, but it was as if I were just another piece of furniture like background noise. While they yelled at one of Jacob's games or helped Mason with paperwork for high school, I stayed in my room reading or watching TV alone. As a little girl, you put up with those things because you do not even know what to call them. I thought that was just how life was, that grown-ups were busy, that older brothers were in charge, and that you just had to get used to it. But that idea started to shatter one night when I was 8. It was horribly hot that night. The kind of heat that makes the sheets stick to your back. I could not sleep. I went downstairs to the kitchen for a glass of water, and as I was walking down the hallway, I heard my parents talking in the living room. They were not yelling. They were speaking quietly, like when you do not want anyone to hear you, but I was close enough. "We can't keep going on like this, Michael," my mom Lisa said. Her voice sounded tired but also anxious, as if she had a lump in her throat. "The mortgage is suffocating us, and your job keeps cutting back your hours." My dad sighed. "I know, Lisa, I know, but what do you want me to do? We have 3 kids," she said. 3, and right now we can't afford it. We can barely handle Jacob and Mason's expenses between the club, the uniforms, the trips, and then school. And high school is coming up, and then college." My dad stayed quiet for a moment. Then he said something that made my blood run cold, even though it was hot out. "It's too much." My mom replied. "We have to find a solution." "What are you thinking?" he asked. "Your sister Margaret," my mom said. "The one who lives in the city, the one with that huge house. She has been alone ever since she got divorced. She always asks about the kids when she calls. Always." Maybe I did not fully understand what that meant. I only knew that my parents were worried about money. I had noticed that sometimes we bought the cheapest brands, that we did not go out much, that my mom stressed out when the bills arrived, but I never thought it was anything serious. I was a little girl. You do not see the danger until it is right in front of you. That night I went back to my room with my glass of water, trying to convince myself that adults always worry about adult things. A month later, the school year ended and summer vacation arrived. I was excited. In my head, vacation meant finally doing something together, going somewhere, going out, laughing, being a family. Instead of that, one morning my mom told me, "We are going to visit your Aunt Margaret." "Which aunt?" I asked because I did not even know her. "My sister," my dad said, as if it were obvious. "She lives in Dallas." He said it without any emotion, like it was just a formality. What hit me the hardest was what came next. My brothers were not going. "They are staying," my mom said. "They have soccer camp." I stayed quiet. It seemed unfair because they got to stay home with their routine, with their things, and I was the only one who had to go on a trip with my parents. Even so, deep down I felt a little excited. Meeting a mysterious aunt, getting out, seeing a different area, getting a change of scenery. I thought maybe this is a good thing. The drive felt endless. We left mid-morning, and even though it was not rush hour, the freeway traffic, the detours, and the construction made half the day slip away. My dad was serious behind the wheel. My mom was looking at her phone, barely speaking. I would ask questions and they would answer within a minute, "We'll see," or "Stop fidgeting." When we finally arrived, the first thing I saw was the house. It was not just any house. It was one of those houses that makes you lower your voice without knowing why. Big, with a front yard, a tall fence, and an entrance that looked straight out of a movie. Everything looked well kept, clean, as if nothing was ever out of place. My dad rang the doorbell. It took a while for them to open, and when the door opened, there she was, my Aunt Margaret. I did not know what to expect, but I did not picture her like that. She was tall, taller than my dad. She had gray hair pulled back in a neat bun. She wore an impeccable white blouse and dark pants, as if she were heading to an important meeting. Her posture was straight, her gaze strong. One of those looks that makes you feel like you are being read from the inside. She looked me up and down and said, "Relax. So you are Natalie." I felt my stomach tighten, but then something strange happened. She smiled and her face changed completely. "Hello, sweetheart," she said with a firm but warm voice. "I have been really looking forward to meeting you." That simple phrase hit me hard because it was not just a simple hello. It was as if she genuinely cared. We went inside. My parents carried my bags. The inside of the house was just as impressive. Fine furniture, paintings on the walls, everything had that clean house smell like wood and calm. We sat in a huge living room. My aunt offered us coffee and water. I stayed quiet looking at everything. The adults talked about things that were boring to me. Work, traffic, how have you been? I only heard my name every now and then. After a while my dad stood up. "Well, we are heading out," he said. "It is getting late." I stood up quickly too. Automatically. "Yeah, I will go get my things," I said. Then my parents looked at each other. It was a weird, quick look like a silent agreement. My mom cleared her throat. "Actually, Natalie, you are going to stay here with your aunt for a while." I froze. "What do you mean for a while?" I asked. My dad did not look directly at me. "Well, we will see. You are going to have fun." I looked at my mom. "And when are you coming back?" "Soon," she said way too fast. "We will call you. I promise." She hugged me, but it was a rushed hug, like when you are already running late. My dad patted me on the shoulder. It was not even a hug. I followed them toward the door. "But what about school?" I blurted out, because something inside me was already starting to panic. "What about the next school year?" "We will figure it out," my dad said without turning around. "Behave yourself." And they left. I watched them walk to the car. I saw the door close. I heard the engine start. I watched the car drive away down the street. I stood there in the entryway with the hot air hitting my face, feeling stupid for not understanding, as if the ground had been swapped out from under me without warning. My Aunt Margaret walked over and put her hand on my shoulder. "Come, sweetheart," she said. "I am going to show you your room." The room was huge, bigger than my old one. It had a canopy bed, its own bathroom, giant windows that overlooked a beautiful garden. There was even a small desk and a bookcase. In any other situation, I would have felt thrilled. But at that moment, the only thing I could think was, my parents left me. "It is very pretty," I said with a tiny voice. "I am glad," she replied. "Tomorrow we will go buy whatever you need, so you feel more comfortable." The first week was weird but good. My aunt took a few days off to be with me. She took me to buy clothes and school supplies, she took me to the movies, she taught me how to use her computer. Not just, "Here, take it. There it is." She actually taught me. She sat with me. She was patient. She asked me about my school, my friends, what I liked, and the strangest part was that she listened. She was not faking it. She looked me in the eyes, she asked follow-up questions as if my answers mattered. But as the days went by, I started to miss my family, and that made me angry because even though they ignored me, they were my parents, they were my brothers, they were mine. I kept waiting for the phone to ring at any moment and for my mom to say, "We are coming to get you now." It never rang. I would ask my aunt every day, "Did they call for me yet?" "Not yet, sweetheart," she would say calmly. "I am sure they will soon." But they did not call. Not that week, nor the next. When almost a month had passed, I started feeling a hollow ache in my chest. School was about to start and I did not have a uniform, I was not enrolled, I had nothing. One night I gathered my courage. "Aunt Margaret, I think I need to go back now," I told her. "School starts in 2 weeks." She set her coffee mug down on the table. She looked at me seriously. Not angry, just serious. "Natalie," she said slowly, "we need to talk." I felt my hands go numb. "Are my parents coming to get me?" I asked, even though I already knew the answer was not going to be what I wanted. My aunt took a deep breath. "No, sweetheart," she said. "They are not coming." The breath left my lungs. Why? Because life sometimes does not explain things gently, it just deals the blow. Your parents decided they could no longer take care of you, she said. And even before you came here, they signed their consent so I could start the paperwork. It was finalized in family court. The important thing is this. Legally, I am your adoptive mother. The words were not registering. It was like hearing another language. Adopt me, I repeated. Yes, she said, her eyes sad but firm. And that means you are going to live with me. I looked at her as if she were playing a cruel joke on me. No, that cannot be true. She did not move. She did not take it back. Then I cried. I did not cry like when you scrape your knee or when you get scolded. I cried as if something had broken inside me. I could not breathe, my chest hurt, because no matter how much my parents ignored me, I needed to believe they were my parents. That even if they were cold, they would not just give you away. You do not do that. And Jacob and Mason? I asked between sobs. Them too. My aunt shook her head. No, she said. They kept your brothers. That hurt more than anything. Not only did they leave me, they left me, but not them. I was not worth the same. I cried for 3 days literally. I stayed in bed with no appetite. My aunt did not rush me, she did not say, "It is okay, get over it." She brought me food, left me tissues, sat with me when I asked her to. She was just there. And that presence, even though it did not fix my heart, made me feel less alone. On the 4th day, I woke up with a thought that scared me but also gave me strength. If I was going to live there now, I could either keep waiting for people who did not want me, or I could hold on to the only person who was actually choosing me. I went downstairs for breakfast with swollen eyes. "Aunt," I said, my voice trembling but clear, "I do not want to think about them anymore. If they do not want me, I do not want to keep waiting around either." My aunt did not smile, but she nodded as if she understood perfectly. "All right, sweetheart," she said. "We will do things the right way at your pace." And that was how my new life began. She enrolled me in an elementary school near her house. It was smaller than my old one. The teachers actually looked at you, they knew your name, they noticed if you were struggling with something. I felt weird at first, as if I did not deserve that attention. That is where I met Hannah, a girl who lived a few streets away. She became my friend, one of those friends who asks you things without judging you, who shares her lunch with you, who invites you over to her house. My Aunt Margaret was completely different from my parents. When I got home from school, she would ask about my day and wait for an answer. She helped me with my homework. She went to parent-teacher meetings, sat down with the teachers, and bought me books because she noticed I liked reading, not just because it was Christmas. Her job impressed me too. She was a finance director at a large company. Sometimes she came home with her head full of numbers, but she still sat with me, and little by little she started teaching me things. "This costs this much," she would say. "This is paid every month. This is a fixed expense. This is a luxury. This can be avoided." She taught me how to save my weekly allowance. She taught me that money is not magic, that it has to be managed, that it must be respected. And she did it without showing off. It was just a part of life. The years went by fast. I got good grades. I played soccer for a while, but more for the socializing than out of passion. I took piano lessons, and my aunt and I built a routine that became a real home. We cooked together. On weekends, we watched old movies. Sometimes she told me stories about when my dad was young, but she almost never spoke of him as an adult, as if it weighed on her. When I turned 14, my aunt asked me something I did not expect. "Natalie," she said one afternoon, "if you wanted to, we could look for your parents. We could see them. I can arrange it." I thought about it for about 10 seconds. "No," I said. My aunt stayed quiet. "It has been 6 years," I continued. "They have not called me, they have not sent me anything, not even a card. If they regretted it, they would have done something by now." She nodded. "I just wanted you to know the option is there," she said. And that topic faded away for a long time. My life was stable. My aunt was strict about grades, schedules, and chores around the house, but she was fair and above all, she took care of me. Until I turned 16 and everything started to shake again. It started with exhaustion. My aunt was going to bed early. She looked thinner. She said it was stress, that it was work. But one day she went to the doctor, then came tests, appointments, more tests. One day she came home and asked me to sit in the exact same spot where she had told me the truth about my parents. "Natalie," she said, I have bad news. I have cancer and it is serious. I felt like a bucket of ice water had been poured over me. Are you going to die? I asked without a filter, because at that age you do not know how to hold back. I do not know, she said with a steady voice, but I am going to fight it with everything I have. She left her job to focus on the treatment. I asked about money, about the house, about everything that scared me. Do not worry, she replied. I have savings. I have health insurance. We are going to be fine. The next 2 years were the hardest of my life. Chemotherapy, radiation, good days, terrible days. Moments when she looked strong and would say, "Today we are definitely going out for coffee." And others when she could not get out of bed, and I had to hold her glass of water for her. I learned how to really cook. I learned how to run the household. I learned to keep track of medications, schedules, and appointments. Between consultations and waiting rooms in a hospital in Dallas, time became something else entirely. When needed, we used ride-sharing apps to get to appointments. And when I was old enough and got my driver's license, it became my turn to drive her, with sweaty hands on the steering wheel and a tight chest. When I was 17, the doctors said the cancer had gone into remission. My aunt cried. I cried for the first time in a long time. We breathed. But life does not always let you keep your peace. Right around my 18th birthday, it came back. Worse. That year my birthday was at home. Just her and me. She did not have the strength to go out. Even so, she baked me a small simple cake, but she did it and she gave me a necklace. It was pretty. It looked antique like a family heirloom. It belonged to my mother, she told me. I want you to have it. I held it carefully, as if it were made of glass. I am proud of the woman you are becoming, she told me that day. You are strong, smart, noble. You are going to succeed even when I am not here. Do not say that, I pleaded, my voice breaking. She just stroked my hand. 2 months later, I graduated from high school. My aunt was hospitalized and could not attend. Hannah's mom recorded the whole ceremony for me, and that day before leaving, we did a video call from the hospital so my aunt could see me in my cap and gown. As I walked to receive my diploma, I knew she was watching me on the screen, and even though she was not there, I felt her gaze like a hug. She was crying but smiling. She looked tired, very thin but proud. A month later, she passed away. I was with her at the hospital. There was no drama, no screaming. She just fell asleep and never woke up. She was 53 years old. After that, I felt lost. I was 18. I was all alone in a massive house, and I had no idea how to live without her. Luckily, Carolyn, my aunt's best friend, helped me with everything. Carolyn had known her since college. It was one of those solid friendships that are not built overnight. She organized the funeral, notified coworkers, friends, people from church, and then one day she told me, "We have to let your dad know," she said gently. "He is Margaret's brother. He is the only direct relative. Besides you." I swallowed hard. "Can you do it?" I asked her. "I have not spoken to him in 10 years. Carolyn nodded, dialed, and put it on speakerphone so I could hear. It rang a few times and he answered. "Hello, good afternoon," Carolyn said. "This is Carolyn. I am calling on behalf of Margaret." Silence. "I have some sad news," she continued. "Margaret passed away yesterday." My dad stayed silent for a moment. I thought for a second that he was going to break down, that he was going to ask something, that he was going to say, "That cannot be." But all he said was, "Oh, I see." Carolyn took a breath. "The funeral is this Saturday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon," she informed him. "At a church in Dallas. I can text you the location." My dad let out a sound of annoyance. "That is a bad date," he said. "This Saturday we have Jacob's celebration. He just got promoted and everything is already set up. The family is coming. The venue and the food are already paid for." I froze. Carolyn did too. "Excuse me," she said, as if she had not heard correctly. "Are you telling me you cannot attend your sister's funeral because of a party?" "It is not just any party," my dad replied. "It is something important for Jacob. He has worked very hard, and my sister would understand that family comes first." Carolyn's voice turned ice cold. "Margaret was also your family." "Yes," he said casually, "but she is gone now, and those of us who are alive have to keep going." Besides, Natalie is over there, right? She can handle it. She is an adult now. Carolyn did not say another word. She hung up. She looked at me with a mix of anger and pity. I was not surprised. It hurt, yes, but it did not surprise me. It was exactly what I expected from them. The funeral was beautiful. About 50 people showed up. My aunt's friends, co-workers, people from church, neighbors. Carolyn gave a lovely speech about her. About how smart she was, how generous, and how much she loved me. I spoke too. I do not remember exactly what I said. I just remember my hands shaking and my voice threatening to break. But I made it through because she deserved that. Afterward, everyone left. I was alone, and everything felt huge and empty, as if the house echoed. I spent a day doing very little, sitting, walking from room to room, wondering what an 18-year-old girl is supposed to do when left completely on her own. Sell the house, look for a job, start college. It all sounded so big, heavy, and far away. On the second day after the funeral, there was a knock on the door. I went to check the peephole, and I felt the wind knocked out of me. Standing there were my dad, my mom, and my two brothers, waiting as if they were just visiting a cousin, as if they belonged there. I opened the door slowly. "Hi, Natalie," my dad said, his voice trying to sound friendly. My mom stepped forward, her eyes glistening. "Oh, my baby girl," she said, reaching her arms out to hug me. I took a step back. "What are you doing here?" I asked. My dad walked in without asking, as if he owned the place. "We came to see how you are," he said. "To support you. We are so sorry about your aunt." My brothers followed him inside. They looked around as if they were appraising the house. Mason peeked into the living room. Jacob ran his hand along a piece of furniture, as if testing the material. "It is very nice," Jacob said with an odd smile. "Very nice." My mom was already sitting on the couch, making herself at home. "You should not be alone at a time like this," she said. "And honestly, it looks bad for the family to leave you alone. That is why we came." I remained standing, glued to the entryway. "And where were you when you needed to be here?" I blurted out. "At the funeral. That is when I needed support." My mom waved her hand dismissively. "Oh honey, you know we had Jacob's event. It was already planned. The whole family was going. We could not cancel it. But we are here now," my dad added. "That is what matters." I let out a humorless laugh. It was my first laugh since my aunt passed away, but it sounded bitter. "That is what matters?" I asked. My mom stood up and approached me with a fake sweet tone. "We came to take care of you," she said. "Now that your aunt is gone, you need your real family. We can help you manage all of this while you get settled." I felt a pang in my chest. "She was my family," I said. Mason spoke up for the first time, sounding annoyed. "Look, we understand you are emotional, but you are overreacting." Jacob smiled, staring at the ceiling as if doing math in his head. "Besides, this is a lot for you," he said. "A house like this and whatever else she left you is a heavy burden." There it was. The real reason. My dad adjusted his posture, as if gearing up to give a speech. "As Margaret's brother, I have rights," he said. "It is only fair that I get at least a share. Half, for instance." "What are you talking about?" I asked, even though I could already see it coming. My mom chimed in. "Natalie, you are very young," she said. "You do not know how to handle these things, and we are your parents." Jacob leaned against a wall and stated casually, the way someone talks about a car. "This house is easily worth over $1 million. And if your aunt had investments, who knows how much more." I wanted to scream, but instead I went completely cold. "Get out," I said quietly. My mom widened her eyes. "Natalie, do not say that. We are not going to leave you." Mason and Jacob exchanged a look and started walking toward the stairs. "Let us go check out the rooms," Mason said, as if it were a done deal, "while you talk to them." At that moment I knew I could not handle this alone. I went up to my room and, with trembling hands, looked for the lawyer's business card. Carolyn had given it to me at the funeral, along with a just-in case. "Attorney Patrick Harlan." I dialed. He answered quickly. "Harlan Law Firm." "Good afternoon, Mr. Harlan," I said, trying to keep my voice from breaking. "This is Natalie. My parents are here. They let themselves in. They refused to leave. They are acting like they own the house." "I am on my way," he said without hesitation. I am relatively close by. Do not sign anything. Do not agree to anything, and do not argue with them alone. It did not take long before the doorbell rang. I ran to open it before they could. The lawyer was a tall, serious man in his 50s. He carried a briefcase and had a look on his face that said, "I am not here to chat." "Are you all right?" he asked. "They are in the kitchen," I told him. Bold as brass. We walked in, and there were my parents and brothers making themselves sandwiches, using the good plates, opening the fridge like it was their own home. The lawyer set his briefcase down on the counter. "Good afternoon," he said firmly. "I am attorney Patrick Harlan, Ms. Margaret's lawyer. Natalie called me because she is having an issue with individuals who entered the premises without authorization." My dad stood up quickly, trying to look important. "I am Michael," he said. "I am her brother. We are not here without authorization. We are her family, and furthermore, we are Natalie's parents." "Aha," the lawyer said, barely raising an eyebrow. "And why do you think that gives you the right to walk in and stay?" My mom stepped forward. "Natalie is very young," she said. "She cannot manage all of this. We came to help her. We are her parents." The lawyer took a patient breath. "Let us take this one step at a time," he said. "Natalie is 18. She is of legal age, and all of this is being handled in accordance with the law regarding Ms. Margaret's estate." My dad opened his mouth. "That can be contested," he snapped. "I am her brother. I have rights." The lawyer opened his briefcase and pulled out some documents. 10 years ago," he said without raising his voice, "you signed your consent and an adoption was finalized in family court. That means legally, Natalie is Margaret's daughter. You have no parental authority, guardianship, or legal representation over her." Mason frowned. "But she is our sister," he said. "Biologically," the lawyer replied. "Legally, there is no judicial relationship between you and Natalie." Jacob turned red. "And the inheritance?" he asked. "How much did she leave her?" The lawyer pulled out another document. "The will is clear," he stated. "Miss Margaret left everything to Natalie. The house, the bank accounts, the investments, the estate in general. In round numbers, the estimated value is approximately $2.5 million, subject to appraisals and bank statements." The kitchen fell silent. My parents stood there with their mouths hanging open. My brothers froze. My dad clenched his jaw. "That is not fair," he said. "I am her brother. Family." I took a step forward. "Family," I repeated. "Right. Family takes care of you." My voice trembled, but I did not back down. "Where were you when my aunt was sick?" I asked them. "Where were you when I drove her to chemo, when I held her hand in the hospital, when her light was fading?" My mom blinked rapidly. "We did not know," she said. "No one told us." "You did not know because you never asked," I replied. "Because for 10 years you never cared enough to write, to call, to see if I was even alive." My dad raised his voice. "We came to help you," he said, growing desperate. "You are our daughter." The lawyer spoke up before I could answer. "The timing of your arrival says it all," he said calmly. "You showed up after the funeral, after refusing to attend, and now you are occupying the house and pressuring Natalie." My mom started to cry. "We need support," she said, her voice breaking. "Our house needs repairs, and the boys want to make a life for themselves. It is not easy." The lawyer did not flinch. "That is not Natalie's responsibility," he said. "And now I am going to ask you to vacate this property. Immediately." My dad took a step forward. "And if we do not?" "Then I call the police," the lawyer answered, not as a threat, but simply stating protocol. "And we file a report for trespassing and harassment." My brothers exchanged uneasy looks. Mason looked down. Jacob pressed his lips together. In the end, they left. I watched from the window as they got into their car and drove away, as if they had not just tried to steal my life all over again. When the door closed, all my strength drained away. "Thank you," I told the lawyer. "You are welcome," he replied. "But let me tell you something. This might not be the end of it. When people think there is money involved, they get persistent." He was right. For the next month, they called nonstop. From different numbers. calling at all hours, text messages from accounts I did not even have saved. They left voicemail messages, my mom crying, saying they regretted it, that they missed me, that they wanted to be a family again. My dad speaking seriously, telling me I had a moral obligation. Mason saying he wanted to get married and needed a little boost. Jacob claiming he had a business opportunity and that with an investment it would really take off. I saved everything. Screenshots, audio files, all of it. Just as the lawyer instructed me, once we had gathered enough evidence, he sent them a formal written demand. He ordered them to stop contacting me, to stay away from the house, and stated that any attempt to pressure me would be documented for criminal charges and restraining orders. That stopped them in their tracks. The calls ceased and I have not heard from them since. Today I am studying finance at the university because it was what my aunt did, and she rubbed off on me without even trying. I am living in her house. It finally feels like mine, not because of the paperwork but because we built our life here. I have not touched the money except for the essentials. School, food, normal expenses, property upkeep. My aunt taught me to respect how hard it is to earn things, and what she left me is not a prize. It is her hard work, her life, her care. Sometimes someone asks me if I feel guilty for not sharing anything with my biological family. The answer is no. They made a choice 10 years ago when they decided I was not worth enough to keep around. My aunt made a different choice when she chose me, when she cared for me, when she truly saw me and gave me a home. I think about Margaret every day. Not just because I miss her, but because she changed my life. She taught me something that is crystal clear to me now. Family is not just blood. Family is who stays, who takes care of you, who chooses you when things get tough. She was my family. I was hers. I am doing okay. I am building my life. I have close friends and I am also dating a guy who is studying engineering. His name is Andrew. I told him everything calmly without sugarcoating it, and he told me something simple. You did the right thing. That is enough for me. Comment. I really connected with this one on a personal level. Standing up for yourself when people cross the line shows real strength and self-respect. Setting clear boundaries protects your heart and your future. True kindness isn't about blood, but rather the people who show up and stay. Healing begins the moment you decide not to wait anymore for those who left. Taking responsibility for your own peace is one of the most powerful choices you can make. Learning to choose calm over chaos changes everything in the long run. I hope this encourages you to look at your own relationships with fresh eyes. You deserve people who value you without being asked. Let's all keep building lives filled with the kind of love that lifts us up. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.